In a few days, we should see Ferrari's new floor, at least in theory. The Maranello technicians and engineers tried to bring the update forward already for the Suzuka weekend, but according to Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur, the timing was too tight and it was better to hold off. Lewis Hamilton spoke about this new component being ready to debut, but the French manager took a small step back, as the Italian side is still undecided. We shall see. In the meantime, some technical discussions as we wait for the first update, which is already crucial to balancing Ferrari's 2025 Formula One car. Ferrari has not offered many details on what its problems are, but there are some visual clues on offer that can perhaps give us some insight into what is going on with the SF-25, while the 5.807-kilometer Suzuka Circuit revealed the strengths and weaknesses of the Ferrari single-seater in a disappointing weekend, in which the Italian team was forced to limit the damage, getting the most out of the car. We have highlighted several times what is missing from the SF-25. It is a car with a suspension philosophy quite different from the Red Bull RB21 and the McLaren MCL39, which requires a distinct setup approach. The car appears to be running with a slightly higher rear ride height than others when stationary, which could be part of a concept aimed at improving its low-speed performance, with what appears to be a slightly softer rear suspension approach than rivals, even though all the current cars are very stiff. This extra compliance gives the car good mechanical grip that helps its performance into slow corners. However, there are two compromises here that Ferrari may be having to deal with. The first is that the softer suspension means that, as the downforce loads increase at higher speed, the car squats down at the rear, and this is causing it to bottom out and rub the plank away. It was notable in China that Lewis Hamilton's infringement was related to the rear skids being worn down too much. There are two solutions to stopping the plank getting worn away like this. You can stiffen the suspension, but that then costs whatever performance benefit is gained in the low-speed corners. Or you can raise the ride height so that when the car does squat down, it does not bottom out. But this is not ideal for overall performance as the car is running further away from the ground, so is producing less downforce at all speed ranges. One theory that has emerged about a way that Ferrari is trying to compensate for this is by energizing the airflow with a vortex generator in its floor to help improve things at low speeds and high ride heights. However, this could be further contributing to the problems of how the car sits down at high speeds and grinds down the plank. It is plotting a path through these varying demands of maintaining its low-speed advantage while not triggering a car that bottoms out too much at high speed, that is understood to be key to Ferrari unlocking more performance. Finding a way through this has meant Ferrari's drivers have been diverging on setup in recent races as they bid to find out ways to get the car in the window it needs to be in. Lewis Hamilton is well known for being happy to run the car low and stiff for maximum performance. But that may have been the catalyst for what happened in China as he found a car that understeered in qualifying and then sat down too low in the race. When the SF-25 car was raised for the Japanese Grand Prix, it became clear that performance was being compromised, something Lewis Hamilton later appeared to reference. The seven-time Formula One world champion suggested that the team had identified an underperforming element on the car that had affected the last three races and expressed hope that resolving it would lead to improved results. Hamilton was believed to have mentioned losing just over a tenth of a second per lap due to the issue and was optimistic it would be addressed by the next race. Although his remarks left room for interpretation, they were widely understood to be connected to Ferrari's ride height issue, which had been temporarily managed by lifting the car. The rumored floor update for Bahrain should prove decisive in solving the problem. Lewis Hamilton also noted that there might be lessons to learn from Charles Leclerc's performance in China, where a damaged end plate seemed to have unexpectedly benefited the car. He observed that his Maranello teammate appeared to experience improved balance after sustaining the damage, and found the situation fascinating. The Ferrari engineers are still far from fully understanding the car, as the team itself admitted during the Japanese weekend, confirming the doubts we raised this past winter. Cars of this generation are extremely complex, with systems highly sensitive to a variety of parameters. The risk for the Maranello team was precisely not understanding the car from the outset, and unfortunately, that is exactly what is happening. Beyond the various issues of understanding, what's missing is balance and pure performance ultimately. This also strongly limits the potential for fine-tuning the car's setup. By now, everyone is aware of the SF-25's chronic understeer, which we pointed out from the second day of the pre-season testing session at the Bahrain International Circuit. Although there are several limitations at the rear and in downforce generation, Ferrari is dealing more with a lack of rotation. This results in oversteer only during corner exits. This needed to be clarified once again. With the second version of the floor they will bring to the track, the Maranello team aims to solve this issue through different management of the airflow. This component is expected to debut at the Suzuka Circuit and is also part of the natural development plan already scheduled during the winter. From a purely technical perspective, we should see further changes to the geometry of the keel, whose design is closely linked to the stability of the airflow beneath the car. We have already pointed out how Ferrari uses less complex geometries compared to direct rivals, also due to the use of suspension kinematics that, by design, have a lower inclination. Currently, the car cannot be lowered beyond a certain limit, which we specify falls within the range of heights foreseen by the 2025 Formula One project. The fact is that potentially, there is still room to lower the car further. However, the danger of excessive skid wear looms. Moreover, as Frederic Vasseur confirmed, in the area where they would like to generate downforce with the car, bouncing is triggered. It must be said that this issue does not concern Ferrari alone, but all Formula One teams. It is one of the compromises that needs to be found. Furthermore, the Maranello-based car has an objectively narrower aerodynamic map compared to its rivals. In addition to a step forward in downforce, we expect progress in terms of flow stability, which could widen the working window of the car. The downforce generated by the floor depends on various suspension geometry parameters, including yaw, roll, and pitch angles, which are the three main rotations of the car and define the aerodynamic map. The wider this map is, the more stable downforce it produces. Conversely, there is the risk that for certain combinations of angles a drop in downforce occurs, creating various handling issues. According to information gathered and reported by various Italian news media outlets, the Ferrari engineers have improved the generation of vertical load with the new floor at the ride heights they can currently use. In this way, the macro component in question will become more usable. Other teams also cannot lower their cars beyond a certain threshold. Frederic Vasseur himself hinted at this. In addition to this factor, with the latest version of the floor, Ferrari wants to slightly move the car's center of pressure forward, a move intended to partially mitigate the intrinsic lack of rotation. Understeer that does not stem solely from the distribution of downforce from the floor, but also from other factors the working group is still studying in order to try to fix it definitively.